everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Knowing ServiceNow. My name is Neal Laufenberg, and for this episode, I want to start looking at the basics of asset management. There's a lot to cover in the asset management topic set, but I thought an intro video would be the best place to start. So, as you can see, I'm in a demo instance in ServiceNow right now, and I've used the type filter text to focus in on the asset section. And the core focus around asset lives in this area, but there's a very tight integration between asset and configuration management. And it's important for those of you out there who, whether you're ITIL certified or an advanced ITIL user, or you're experienced with CMDBs, the concepts in ServiceNow are perhaps their implementation of viewed best practice. So just to give some detail around asset versus configuration in the tool, an asset is the physical representation typically of a device in your environment. So a workstation, a server, it can be software and other things too, but just for ease of description, think of it as something physical. The CI can be physical, or it can be virtual, or it can be both, depending on what kind of a setup it is. So the best way I try to describe it to my end users is the CI is IT's representation of some kind of a resource. So server, workstation, network device, etc. The asset is something that's more tied around kind of the financial management aspect of IT. So it's got maintenance contracts, and it's got a purchase order and things like that. So that's how ServiceNow has kind of delineated asset management versus configuration management. So all of the assets in the system can be reached by the asset management application here, and you can simply go to all assets. All assets that get created have a category to them, and that category is important because that category determines what kinds of things happen to this asset. It also determines whether or not this kind of category has a CI or just has an asset. So that's all configurable, and we can get into that in a later video. But so you can see in the system here, we've got about 2,800 assets in the system, and they're tied together for the typical kinds of assets that you would want. So let's look at, actually I'm going to go to hardware assets now, and let's look at one of these. And you can see how it ties together, in this case, to a configuration item, because out of the box the system is set up that a computer model category gets a configuration item. So for the life of these two records, they are linked together the way the system is built out of box. So you can see here the physical information about this asset: serial number, asset tag, who it's assigned to, the department. All of these fields are typically optional and can be used for your organization in the ways that you require. There's also details around other things that are tied to this asset that can be related to it, so desktop keyboards and mice and things like that. And the linkage is really apparent here just on this configuration item field. So if I hit the detail view here, you can see that it's tied to this computer. So ThinkStation S20 is the CI for which this asset is associated. So ThinkStation is the IT version of it. That's where we know what kind of a status it is, who's supporting it in IT, who it's assigned to, and on the other side, the asset is the physical, what's sitting on your desk. Now, in a workstation realm, that's maybe a little less important, but it can become much more important around servers specifically. So if I go and I look for a server device out here, let me just go ahead and go to model category. And let's pick on a server. So you can see here, same information, and typically speaking, in the system, it's a model category most model categories have similar information. So software is pretty similar, hardware is pretty similar. Obviously, there's some variance there around license counts and things like that, but they're always pretty similar. But to the config item, you can see here, this is actually a server record. So we have all kinds of other information that you can use on a server, like its status, what environment it's in, what business services it's associated to, its location and data center. So it gives you a lot of functional flexibility to track information around your assets and then relate them to configuration items. And it's also very reportable across the two because it's a one-to-one relationship. So you can dot walk between a server between a CI and its physical asset, and bring information together for finance, for contract renewals, for maintenance renewals, all kind of information that is useful for kind of both sides of the house can be represented together in one place. Um, Beyond that, there's a lot of other information inside of asset management that I'll cover in later videos. And we'll also cover some of the new Calgary topics around stock rooms and purchase orders and financial management and things like that. But I just wanted to give a basic primer around asset to CI in the system. If you have any questions about this topic, please let me know. If you have any suggestions for future topics, please suggest them in the comments on this video. Give me a thumbs up if this was helpful for you. Please also feel free to subscribe, as I intend to continue putting videos out to cover the various topics inside of ServiceNow. Thanks, and have a great day.